Welcome to scheduling client appointments for existing clients. An existing client is any client that is already in your database, even if they did not come to your office during the most recent year. There are several different ways to actually access the appointment calendar for an existing client. So the first way, we will begin by searching for the client. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the client's name and select search. So you can see it brings up our client, Michelle Bishop. So here, if I click on the appointment calendar, it's going to show this client's appointments. So we'll click on the calendar here, and you can see that these are some of the most recent appointments that this client has had with us. If I want to see all the appointments this client has ever had, I can select this box over here. You're also able to see if they've kept those appointments, if those appointments were made through the portal as a request. But once you are here, you also can click on schedule an appointment, which will take you right to the appointment calendar. Another way to get to the appointment calendar is, again, if you search for the client, and we've got the same information here that comes up for the search criteria. This time under the schedule column, if we actually click on the site name, this will take us right to the appointment calendar. So we'll click on the West Saginaw site, and again, it takes us to the appointment calendar. Then the third way to do it is if you're already in a client's file. So we'll say we're already working within Michelle Bishop's file, and then she says, hey, I would like to go ahead and schedule an appointment. So here under the contact information section, we have the button over here that says schedule an appointment, schedule appointment. So there's just multiple ways to actually get to the same place. So it takes us right to the appointment calendar. Once you get to this appointment calendar, it does actually work the same way as scheduling appointments for new clients. So if you've already watched that video, you do not need to continue, but if you haven't watched that video, then I will go over the steps now. So it takes us to the appointment calendar. You can see that it does default to today, and it defaults to the current site that you are logged into. If you have multiple sites and you want to schedule this client at another site, just select your other site from the drop-down and it will take you to that appointment calendar. You can also see here, some of these days are grayed and some of them are not. What that means is just any day that is grayed out means there's at least one appointment already scheduled that day. These days that are just blank and are white, that just means that there are no appointments scheduled for those days yet. So because this is an existing client, a lot of this information comes right over from the client's file, and it will pull over from the most recent year information that you have from the client. So this client happened to be the difficulty of 3, so it has the default time of 60 minutes. If this client might be coming in just because they want to drop off some paperwork and we don't want to block off a bunch of different time, we can just change the amount of time for the appointment if we would like. The start time, we'll go ahead and pick what time the client wants the appointment. We'll say that she wants to come in at 4 o'clock. The user comes over with the requested box checked because in the past, this client has requested a particular preparer to do their return. So you can see that that's automatically going to come over. If the client called, the preparer they wanted to see maybe wasn't available, but they were willing to see somebody else, you could go ahead and select another employee's name from the drop-down. You can tell by looking at the calendar what times are available for this day, and if you just want to select any other day on the calendar, you can just select any other day, and then you could pick times for those appointments. Another thing that you can do is if you just want to view availability for a particular preparer, you can click on View Availability here, and we will select the requested preparer. We'll just pick one, and you can look at the day, the week, and you can see what times that particular preparer has time available. So you can't schedule from this page, but it does give you an overview so you can see some available appointment times. So we'll go back to here. So we've selected the start time, the user came over, the requested box came over. So all of that pre-filled for us. The client's name, it's a prior year client, so that came over. Exclude from count. So what that means, if you look over here where it's got all of our appointments for the day. So you can see we have 18 appointments, 17 are returning clients, 1 is for a new client. This section down here is for self-scheduled appointments, so appointments that people have been scheduling either through the client portal or if you have a link on your website for the clients to schedule their appointments. So if they're self-scheduled appointments, those numbers would be here. The reason that you may want to exclude something from the actual appointment count would be an example something like this, where Mark has a webinar scheduled, put on the calendar for the day. He just needs to block himself off, but we don't want to include that as an appointment because it's not a true client appointment. So if you want to keep your numbers true, you can just go ahead and select exclude from count. So in the next field, the phone numbers, all of this will just flow over from the client's file. Allow double booking. If you already have something on your schedule and you need to add something else, just so you can see that you have 2 things going on, you can select allow double booking. So there's another example of this here where Mark had this webinar scheduled, but this client was just going to stop in and just drop off their information, and Mark just wanted to put it on the calendar so he knew that that client was going to stop by. So if you check that box, then that would allow you to double book. You can control who has the availability to double book appointments on the users page. So you might want to maybe not give that option to everybody if you're afraid that you're going to get overbooked. So the business type again flows over from the client's information page. If they were coming in for another business type, you could change that. And their email address also comes over. The last 4 of the Social Security number really doesn't apply or is not important for returning clients, so you could skip over that field. The next section is going to be for notes. So if you wanted to click on your timestamp and put a note of why the client might be coming in or maybe what they were quoted for a price, you could put a note here. Then when the client checks into the lobby, that note will flow over to your lobby page and you'll be able to read that note there. If there are any permanent notes already in the client's file, it would show here. And then we've also carried over the city and the zip code over to this page. The reason that we've done that is maybe if your business is growing and you've added another office and you could tell by looking at this appointment or looking at this address information that this client might live closer to your new office. So you could give them that option, just say, hey, Michelle, we've got this new office. It's closer to where you live. Would you like to be scheduled there? So that's the reason that we have that on this page. This one for send email. So if we have an email address here, if we select this box here that says send email, then once we schedule this appointment, then the client will get a confirmation email of the appointment so they can see that their appointment was scheduled and it will confirm the date and the time. Now this is different than the automatic email appointment reminders that Adam does send out. So if you have it set up where Adam is going to send out automatic appointment reminders either a day or 2 ahead of the appointment, that will still happen. So this just happens at the time that the appointment is actually scheduled. So once we have all of this information correct, all we need to do is click Save, and it will put that appointment right on your appointment calendar. So you can see that it's a requested appointment at 4 o'clock. The other option that we have now with the appointments, if you click on the client's name, if you want to add appointments to your Google Calendar, you can do that right from here. So if you select Add to Google Calendar, it's going to open up your Google Calendar, put the appointment there. If you want to look at the client's ID, if you have an ID in file, you can click on it here. If when they actually come into your office, you can check them in right from the screen, which will put them in the lobby. Or if you select Go to Contact, then that's just going to take you to the client's file. So that is all for scheduling appointments for existing clients. Thank you.